So in this video, I'm going to be going over probably one of the biggest tips to help you always have a supply of firewood and to help your business grow, or just to help your home firewood supply grow. Stay tuned. What's going on, folks? I'm Cameron. Welcome back to the Woody Googan Firewood channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how to grow your firewood supply, and it might be kind of common sense, but I feel like a lot of people overlook this step, and that step is always be cutting. ABC, always be cutting firewood. What do I mean by that? Well, in the last episode, you'll remember the number one rule that I said, period, for cutting firewood is to always be networking or always be looking for firewood. Well, you can't always be cutting, which is rule number 2 this video, if you don't have a supply of wood. So that's why I made that video. But if you are if you're cutting firewood consistently, always, and even just a little bit each day, it's going to help you so much in the grand scheme of things. So like anything else, why would we do something a little bit each day? Well, it's that old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I can personally reflect on things like weight loss. I've lost about 20 pounds this month, just because I was getting a little heavy set and I started noticing it. I wanted a lifestyle change. But about 6 years ago, I lost a drastic amount of weight in about the same amount of time. I just lost 20 pounds, but 6 years ago I lost 40 pounds in a month. It was unhealthy, it was terrible for my body, and it was the hardest thing I ever did. Well, likewise, last year when I first started selling firewood, I wasn't ready to sell firewood. I shouldn't have been selling firewood, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to back down from a challenge. And a couple months later, I was driving 2 hours one way home from work to take off my army hat and to put on my wood cutting hat. And, I would be out, sleet, rain, snow, it didn't matter. I was always out cutting firewood, and I was cutting it to order. The wood wasn't as dry as it should have been, and probably made a customer or two mad about that fact. So now this year I've been cutting firewood ever since spring, and this is the way it should have been. Right behind me I've got a giant pile of firewood, and come this year, by the time I start selling it this year, I should have about 50 loads ready to go, and then I can just continuously keep cutting and adding onto the back end of my pile, so my wood is better seasoned for the next customer, and I have more sitting there waiting for the next customer or the next order. So always be cutting. Why should we do that? Well, there's a few reasons. Like the first reason I mentioned, you always you take a huge task and you break it down a little bit at a time, and then it doesn't seem as big of a task. But number 2 is you're better prepared to cut. You're in a better learning curve. You've learned what you're doing every day versus a crash course overnight, and it becomes almost second nature for you, like chainsaw maintenance. Oh crap, this is where I get the best bar oil at. I forgot to get bar oil. Or oh crap, for a little while there I rolled without chaps or any sort of protective equipment, minus Ear Pro and Eye Pro. So it just gives you a chance to have the proper equipment and the proper training and proper mentality to successfully work day in, day out, versus just a crash course once a year of like, I forgot how to do this, where's all my tools at? Like right now I've got all my tools broken down into kits, whether I'm in the dually or if I'm in my little baby diesel. I just got my kit, I throw it in the truck, and I'm ready to go. Last year I had to figure out all of that on the fly. This year, don't have to do that. I'm already sitting pretty. I've got the dually maintenance where I want it, and all I got to do is, for instance, today I'm gonna load the Chevrolet up with wood, and then I'm gonna load the dually up with wood, and then I'll just back them into the wood yard, split rounds at hip level versus picking them up off the ground again, and I'm ready to go. Also, if you're always cutting firewood, you can set realistic expectations for yourself. There's no way you're gonna tell yourself, yeah, in one day I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna cut 5 loads by myself. After doing it for a little while, you'll understand what your limitations are in what weather. Like today, it's really hot already. And you'll also understand what the limitations of, people helping you are. For instance, if you look at this pile of rounds behind me, the place we were cutting, it was over a steep hill. So in my head, I'm like, well, this won't take that long at all. It's only a 20-foot walk, you know. But the last 10 feet of that was slick, and it took a lot out of me. Plus, the guy was emptying his grass clippings there, so it made it slippery, and you sunk down into it. So it was just a nightmare trying to get it out of there. So if you're always cutting firewood, you're aware of that, so you can realistically wake up and tell yourself, all right, today I'm going to cut X amount of wood. It's going to take me X amount of time, and then I know how I'm going to feel at the end of the day. When I'm done cutting firewood, I can still go fishing, I can still go to the gym, versus absolutely being trashed for 2 to 3 days because I filled up two dualies and 1 trailer load of wood, and now I'm worthless. So in this video, we went over rule number 2, which is always be cutting firewood, ABC. We went over the big reasons why it's good to always be cutting firewood, which is breaking something big up into little pieces, being better prepared with your equipment and your training, and 3, understanding time management and your capabilities as a solo operator or as a group operator. All right, all that being said, stay tuned for the next video. Keep using these rules I'm telling you about, and I gotta go start on this first truckload of wood, and then my wife and kids are gonna help me with the second truckload of wood. But remember, ABCs, rule number 2, always be cutting firewood. We'll see you in the next video.